day, good afternoon, or good morning, depending where you are joining us from. It's a real pleasure to have you here this morning for our webinar, and we sincerely hope that you will find it useful. We have three great speakers who I will introduce in a few moments. But let me say at this stage that I would very much welcome any input that you would like to make during our panel discussion this morning via the chat functionality. And we should have some time also at the end of the session for some questions as well. So please feel free to enter any questions that you have into the chat box. Let me also say that it has obviously been a rather strange year this year, but in some ways the general acceptance of video conferencing and sessions such as this has been certainly a good thing. And from our point of view, it's meant that this morning for us here in the UK, we've been able to assemble a really great panel of speakers that we certainly wouldn't have been able to bring together in a live environment. So it's really great to have all of the speakers that we have. I will introduce the speakers in just a moment, but I wanted to just take a few moments at this stage to give you an overview of Proquest and who we are, and speak a little bit more specifically about what we're going to hear about this morning. So I'm sure that many of you have heard of Proquest already. You will see from the slide that we are a leading global provider of digital content and SaaS solutions, primarily to research, academic and national institutions. And you may be more familiar at this stage with PQIS, Proquest Information Solutions, the aggregator of multiple types of content. You may also be familiar with Proquest Books. So again, an aggregator of ebooks for higher education libraries and for universities. And the other part of the organization is the part that we will focus on today. So we'll be talking about primarily Ex Libris as a leading provider of SaaS solutions for libraries and universities. Now, some of you may know that last year, Innovative Interfaces, or III, became part of the Proquest family, actually operates as part of Proquest and in some ways independently, but of course in cooperation with us in Ex Libris. So this is the focus of this morning's presentation. Let me just give you a little bit of history. I'm not going to go into this in any level of detail. Sorry, bear with me. You are, of course, able to have these slides afterwards. But I really want to take this opportunity to emphasize that Proquest as an organization, as a company, has really been around for a long time, in fact, from way back in 1938. You will see some of the highlights along the timeline on the slide. Some of the more important ones, obviously, the development of the internet, of course, the use of online discovery for the first time, library services platforms, and so on. So you can see that we have had a long evolution to our position, which is now really a global education technology leader. And this is something that we're, of course, very, very proud of, and something that we work very, very hard to keep up. And finally, I just wanted to highlight just a few of the many, many customers that we have. We have some 25,000 customers across 158 countries, including the top 50 universities worldwide. And these are just some examples of some names that you undoubtedly know, including some of our customers in the Middle East area as well. So as an introduction to Proquest, that's really all that I want to share with you. Obviously, if you have more questions on us, then we will be able to help you as well. So I want to now move to our speakers, and I have the pleasure of knowing two of our speakers very well. And of course, I've met the other speaker as well. So I'm going to, first of all, invite Shameem. Shameem is representing Singapore Management University. And I am going, Shameem, to share your slides, which I know that you would like to use to introduce SMU. So just give me 1 second to do that. There's some beautiful pictures on the first slide that I see. So let me share the PowerPoint, and Shameem, let me invite you to introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon everyone. My name is Shameem. I'm the head of Information Access and Resources at SMU Libraries. Singapore Management University is actually the third autonomous university in Singapore. And it's a relatively young university. It was just established in July of 2000. So we have about 10,000 students, of which 8,000 are undergraduates and 2,000 are postgraduate students. So the picture that you see is actually the two of the libraries that we have under SMU Libraries that support Singapore Management University itself. So on my left is the main library, which is the Dukashing Library. And on my right, which is actually a pretty new addition to this whole family, it's the Kwagechu Law Library, which was opened in 2017. So it was modeled after the Pearl, and it's something that we are very proud of. Can I ask you the next slide then? Just a quick snapshot of our spaces. We have the first one is about 8,800 square meters, slightly lesser for the Kwagechu Law Library. Overall, we can accommodate about 2,300, 2,400 students pre-COVID. Now it's down to about, I think, 600 or 700 students with all the safe distancing measures. We have postgraduate lounges, project rooms, quiet areas, as well as some facilities that is open to all the users participating. Next slide, please. Our footprint is predominantly electronic, so we have over close to about 550,000 books, of which 480,000 is actually e-books, close to about 170 plus electronic databases, a lot of streaming content. Our ink is actually our institutional repository, and we have close to about 4 million downloads from there. And we had started off on this digital transformation strategy somewhere in 2016, 2015, 2016. So we had already started the close transition from print to electronic. So our footprint of electronic is actually bigger in that sense. Next slide, please. We have close to, again, I need to emphasize this is pre-COVID. So we had about 1.3 million visitors in the year 2019. We have a Learning Commons, which is open 24/7, mainly because of requests from students, especially during exam times, to have the library open. So that was where that whole request came from. We have about 39 staff supporting both the libraries in total, of which 21 are professional librarians. And I think that what will I have? Oh, okay, some of the key services. One of the things that we do is we do have a librarian assigned to every school, as well as every administrative department in SMU. So they are the so-called face of the library for that particular school. We make sure that the orientation is carried out for all new faculty, research consultations, as well as copyright is another new area that we are working on. So especially with relation to teaching resources, publishing, those are areas that we actually provide copyright advice on. And I think that is SMU Libraries in a nutshell. Yes, it's just from our last survey that was conducted in 2019, how the students actually use the spaces. So on an average, 7 out of 10 students actually use the library spaces. So it's very well used. And it came out as the most preferred place to study with friends, and one of the most preferred places to work on assignments or to study alone. So as a study space, SMU Libraries is actually quite popular with the student population. And that is SMU Libraries in a nutshell. Thank you.
Shameem, thank you very much for that introduction to SMU Libraries. I've had the pleasure of visiting in the past, so very nice to see those statistics. So let's move now to more central area of the world. Robin, let me invite you to introduce yourself and HCT. Thank you.
Okay, there we go. Great. Thank you very much, Alan. Thank you for inviting me to be part of today. Very much appreciated. My name is Robin Bishop. I'm the Library Technical Services Manager for the Piper College of Technology. HCT was founded in 1988, the UAE's largest applied higher institution with approximately 23,000 students across 16 men's and women's campuses in the UAE. Our main focus is bachelor's degrees, engineering, computer science, business, social science, applied media, and education. We provide library services on each of the campuses, including additional information literacy sessions, resources, study rooms, display spaces for student work.
So Robin, thank you very much for that introduction. We've had the pleasure of working together, and I've had the pleasure of visiting Abu Dhabi and the HCT Women's College, if I remember correctly. So thank you very much, and great to have you with us. And now,
thank you again.
Thank you. And now to the colleague who is closest to me. Not that that really matters in these times, but Fiona, let me invite you to introduce yourself.
Thank you. I'm Fiona Clegg, Director of Library and IT Services at the University of Winchester in the UK. So south of the country, just above Southampton, if people are aware of where we are. University's been around for quite a long time. 1850 was when they started teaching here. But over the last few years, we've been looking to extend our portfolio. We were very much humanities and social sciences, teacher education. We came from a theology background, but now we're extending into things like digital forensics, anthropology, and all those kind of exciting scientific areas as well. So quite a small university, but we're growing. So I think they've extended by about 5,000 students a year over the last 15 years. So it's an exciting place to be. and with a new building as well, which was going to be the pride and joy of us this academic year. COVID has put a bit of a dent on that, but we're still able to make use of it. So, yep, that's us at the University of Winchester.
So Fiona, thank you very much. And I guess we've known each other for longest of the three. Our time goes by, but I won't talk about that now because it's actually reflected in one of the questions. So I'm going to start actually, and Fiona, I would like to start with you. So the first question is actually for you. I recall, of course, that you and your team previously worked with Alma at the University of Plymouth and the University of Surrey, and now you and your team are implementing Alma at Winchester. Plymouth and Surrey are larger institutions. Winchester is a smaller institution. Do you believe that Alma works well for both larger and smaller institutions?
Yeah, and I have been working with Alma over a long period of time. In fact, at Plymouth, we were an early adopter of Alma. So I've seen it grow, I've seen it adapt. It is a very powerful tool. I think there has been an assumption in the past that only big national or research intensive universities with a large staffing set are the type of people that would use Alma. But actually coming to a small institution, this is the kind of place that needs it more. I would say we don't have the staff to be able to do what they've always done in the way that they've always done it and keep up with our user demands. We need to free our people up to add value. And that's what Alma can do. We're looking at a number of areas where we can immediately modernize and move things forward. And yes, that can be scary at times, but the value that we will get back from Alma, particularly around e-resources, which we've never been able to manage as effectively in the old technologies as we need to, is a major reason why we went back out to tender. And this, even though I've used Alma previously, it wasn't just an automatic go for ex libris. We did do a tender, we did a complete return on investment analysis, and Alma was the one that will help us get to where we need to be, despite our small size. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Of course, Fiona, that's a really great answer to the question. So thank you very much for that. The second question that I have for you is more about you personally, actually. As you said, you've been working with Alma for a long time. You were an early adopter in Plymouth in 2012 or 13, but you were obviously involved before that in making the decision as well. You've moved job quite often as well. I remember that in Plymouth you were, I think, in charge of the systems team. In Surrey you were, I think, more of a depute or associate at the director level. And in Winchester, you have reached the elevated position of CIO. Has Alma helped, do you think, you in progressing your career?
It does sound like I've knocked around a bit, doesn't it? Yeah, I think it has. At Plymouth, I was brought in to actually modernise a library service. So I'd started in the UK civil service in the library area, and moving into HE was interesting. So I did start with a team of 6 multidisciplinary types that included the technologists, web designers, and things like that. Has Alma helped my career? Yes, in as much as there was a tool that I was able to really adapt a strategy around, that I was able to prove the worth of library services, to pivot where we can make value to the wider institution, not just the library. Hugely important to have the study spaces. I mean, that's from our student point of view, that's what we do. Critical that we have the content, but actually we need to carry on being the heart of the institution. And I think a lot of the UK universities have perhaps lost that. We've rested on our laurels. And so definitely working with Alma, working with the wider community, actually talking with people from across the world, from institutions which are way more rich in terms of staff and appreciation. I think that's what I've also got from working with Alma. It has definitely been able to give me opportunities to prove what my services can do. My ability to sell that has helped me with my CVs. I've got a huge amount of evidence of actually doing things, not just the, oh, trust me and I will. But the networks I've been able to be part of, the fascinating people I've spoken to in events like this, or just hanging out with some of the guys, that's what I think has enriched my thinking, has allowed me to take forward into different jobs and be seen within the sector as someone who understands some of these things, someone who can be a little bit more provocative around what we need to be doing. And yeah, I think that it's certainly not hurt, I'll put it that way.
That's great, Fiona. Thank you very much for that. And I'm very interested to see what you do next, actually. So once you yes, but once you've conquered Winchester, I'm interested to see where you'll go next. So thank you very much for your answers to those questions. So let me move now to Robin. So Robin is in the Higher Colleges of Technology in Abu Dhabi. Robin, I was looking at the website of HCT, and the website talks, or indeed focuses a lot on HCT 2.0, saying that it's an innovative 5-year strategic plan. So from 2017 until next year, in fact, to ensure HCT's growth and success as a provider of applied higher education in the United Arab Emirates. Perhaps, Robin, you could tell us a bit about what you think HCT 2.0 means for HCT libraries.
Okay, thank you for that, Alan. First, I'd like to ask a question. Does everyone remember Kodak? Okay, famous for film, however, maybe a little more infamous for its unfortunate downfall. So, in today's world, having an agile strategy is key, and containing oneself to a 3 to 5 year plan may not be a wise decision. So, being able to execute short term in an agile way is very key, and to avoid missing opportunities. So hence, when you say HCT 2.0, we've already given way to HCT 4.0 rather recently. So, and why did we do this? HCT 4.0 better aligns the future aspirations and vision with the UAE leaders. And the main change for us was to ensure technical leaders, graduate entrepreneurs, and no Emiratis left behind. So HCT 4.0 is providing the opportunity for us to stay agile and having the flexibility to continually realign ourselves to provide academic and professional education that better prepares our graduates. Our graduates, the focus is distinctive skills, including skills that can shape future services and have the capability to create next generation services to fit the next generation services. So with all that said, you might be wondering, what does that mean for the library? Well, for us, the library is part of the Educational Technologies Department. It means the use and application of digital technology to enhance learning with quality pervading through all of our services. And we also want to focus on proactive engagement to deliver value via our exceptional services. For us, that equated to an upgrade in the library services platform that is better aligned with HCT's goal of sustaining growth and change. It was our decision to move to Alma was to upgrade to a flexible, more dynamic, robust library services platform, a system that supported interoperability and the capability to exchange information with other major systems. It was something that was lacking in what we had before. We wanted a system that would also revolutionize the management of our e-resources and help us shift from providing data in a linear manner to the analysis of big data that would give us a better 360-degree picture. So like Fiona said, for us, it was the ability to shift to a system that could provide what we need. And we are a relatively small institution as well.
Robin, thank you very much for that answer. That was a tough question, actually, and you gave a great answer to it. So thank you very much for that. The other thing I wanted to talk with you about, Robin, was first of all, perhaps to say kudos to you and to your team for successfully implementing Alma and Prima during a pandemic. How was it doing that?
Well, with the support of a fantastic library team and the Ex Libris project team, the implementation experience overall went well. We had Ex Libris's expertise. They had a solid, well-developed implementation plan, implementation preparation documents, the use of Basecamp, the project management and internal communications tool which we used, and the bi-weekly meetings with the project manager that kept us on track and accountable. So again, we were a small institution. We didn't hire an external person to run our implementation. We did it all ourselves. So having that from the Ex Libris team was extremely helpful. The experience was very intense, but also very rewarding. It provided an opportunity for many of our staff to coordinate specific aspects of the projects, including training others. The outcome for me was increased staff morale, confidence, and innovation, and expanded their skill sets. And wow, what a feeling to see so many of the staff be able to shine in areas that, pardon me, they're normally not able to. Now, given the nature of HCT, we have 16 campuses spread all over the country. Zoom and MS Teams were already part of our established culture and commonly used as communication tools. Therefore, for us, the shift was not as drastic during COVID times as it could have been. That said, one thing, staff were a little bit disappointed in not having the opportunity to have a traditional training. This is where they could meet together in person, a time where they could talk and network, and a way that they were more familiar with traditional training.
Thank you, Robin, and once again, kudos. It's actually great to hear you answering in such a way, because in many ways those were the things that we promised you when we were trying to convince you that Alma would be a good solution. We promised you strong project management, and I'm very happy to hear actually that we delivered on that promise. So thank you very much for that. So let's move to Shameem. So Shameem, as I said a little earlier, I have been to Singapore Management University. It was a good few years ago now. You, I think, are perhaps the longest established customer in this particular panel. So perhaps you could tell us when you went live with Alma, and maybe outline some of the new services that you've been able to introduce since you went live, and perhaps say a little bit about the users' reactions to those new services as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Yes, so we went live with Alma in 2015. We were actually previously on Millennium, which is part of the Innovative Interfaces group. So it was a huge shift for us, moving from Millennium to X-Level. So it was a practical 180. And there was a lot of change management and realignment of roles that was involved in this. And I actually concur with both Fiona and Robin when they said actually it works very well for small universities mainly because, small staff strength, mainly because there's so many of the tasks that need to be handled by one person. You no longer have big groups which are going to take care of just acquisitions or serials or monographs. That's just not the reality. You just have one person wearing multiple hats throughout the day. So Alma was a great fit in that sense, and in the sense of also developing the competency of the staff. So they were actually able to pick up a lot of skills in that way. And when we decided to go with Alma, our main rationale was actually about having a system that forms the basis for a solid higher education platform. So, and one of the key components in that is a system that's actually able to interoperate with the other systems in the education ecosystem. The library systems cannot afford to just sit by itself. It's complicated as it is, but our users don't need to know how complicated it is. So that's one of the reasons actually for us to go with Alma. So in terms of the users and the kind of services that we provided, so with Alma, what we did was, it was that whole interoperability aspect. So our senior management actually uses ClickView and ClickSense to have a dashboard of what's happening in terms of return on investment, in terms of the usage, in terms of this district. So one of the services that we were able to actually tap on quite immediately was Alma has a very solid analytics base, especially with the Oracle BI. We were actually able to tap onto that and draw the information and push it out into ClickView, which actually made a lot of sense in terms of decision making, in terms of planning process as well. So that was actually appreciated very well by our senior management because it gave them a level of visibility that was not available previously before. So that was from the senior management perspective. In terms of our students, both undergraduates and postgraduates, one of the things that they rely on heavily is reading lists and course materials. Now, having Alma and having been able to integrate very smoothly with our learning management system, we were actually able to use a lot of the information that we have. We actually used Leganto as such. So Leganto was able to leverage on the fulfillment aspects of Alma and make the transition very smooth in terms of student capabilities. So especially with the whole COVID situation, it proved to be a true godsend because a lot of the information had to be moved online. The libraries were closed, so they didn't have access to our reserve materials. So this was the time they actually appreciated more of the services that the library was providing in terms of actually, making the digital copies available for them. It was appreciated both by our faculty as well as our students. Then you have, from the researcher perspectives, again, I'll go back to the wealth of information that is available in Alma, but the ease possible to actually make use of that information. That's one of the key critical components. And for our researchers, we were actually able to tailor-make reports for them in terms of new journal arrivals or in terms of new articles that would be of interest to them. So we were able to tailor-make services, personalized services catered for the different user groups. And that's one of the biggest flexibilities that Alma has been able to afford us.
Shameem, thank you very much for that answer as well. And I think you you touched on a very important point that Fiona alluded to as well, that Alma is the centre of the library world. It is certainly the centre of my world, but it's not the centre of the university. And we have to accept that, and we have to understand that Alma is part of the overall solution, you know, the learning management solutions, the finance solutions, the other solutions as well. So although I would truly love Alma to be the heart of everything, I also accept that it's not. And that was a very, very great answer to that question. Thank you very much for that. Shameem, the other thing I wanted to talk with you about was something else that Fiona certainly alluded to as well, and indeed that I've seen some of Robin's colleagues making use of, which is the Ex Libris user community. So this is obviously something that we are hugely proud of within Ex Libris and that we value very much. So maybe you could say a few words about the user community, about Igloo, and specifically about the conference and developers day, which turns out to be the last live one. There was a digital one this year, of course, but the last live one in Singapore in 2019.
Thank you, Eric. So Igloo, not that Igloo, this is the international group of Ex Libris users. And the main task of this group is actually to promote exchange of information among the users of Ex Libris products, you know, to share information on solutions, innovation, documentation, resources. Now, one thing, having been in this industry for so long, I've come to realize is that none of my problems are unique. Some university, some library out there is already probably has faced the same problem. They've probably found a way to resolve it. So Igloo, in a way, is that forum that actually brings together people who actually use Ex Libris products. Any institution, I mean, in terms of membership itself, so any institution which has an Ex Libris product can become a member of Igloo. The current membership fees is at 250 euros per institution, and we have close to about 400 member institutions worldwide from over 30 countries. So Igloo is actually led by a steering committee, and I had the privilege of actually serving on the steering committee for about 4 years. And it's organized into product and special interest working groups. So what I mean by product working groups is, you know, like Alma, there's an Alma working group, there is the Ganto working group. And what we do is actively reach out to member institutions, to the user community, to find out which are the ways in which the particular product could be enhanced. What are the issues facing the product? What other ways can we actually make this better? And Igloo has a very strong relationship with the Ex Libris management as well. So in terms of the working relationships, in terms of the feedback and the feedback loop that goes into the whole development of the product lifecycle, there's a lot of role that the product working groups and the steering committee and Igloo as a whole actually plays, which we are very appreciative of. One of the advantages of being an Igloo member is one is you're actually able to serve on any of the committees, but also it gives you access to the information, the attending the conference at every year's grade, access to the information that is available. All the conference presentations are actually available on the Igloo website. Usually the last conference presentations are embargoed, but anything before that. The 2020 digital conference that held in Wales is actually embargoed and becomes open after a year. But all presentations up to the 2019 Singapore conference are actually available for anybody who wants to access it. And there's a ton of information there, so I would encourage anyone to actually have a look at it. In addition to that, talking about Singapore is actually very special to my heart because it was the very first conference kind of moving away from Europe. We have always had conferences happening in various cities in Europe, but it was also the realization that there is a very huge customer base that is developing in the Asian region. And having a conference here was actually a nod to the fact that, you know, they do play a very important part in this whole music community. So 2019, it was August of 2019. We had it over a period of 5 days. It was again very well attended. We had close to around 200 institutions which were able to participate from over 25 countries. Developers Day again was a huge success as well, and I think a lot of the participants actually appreciated the opportunity to experience a culture which normally they wouldn't have the opportunity. So yeah, we felt that it went very well. We're actually looking forward to the Wales conference this year, but unfortunately, COVID had other plans. Yeah, so looking forward to 2021. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Shameem. So as I said, I've been lucky enough to visit Singapore in the past. I was actually at IFLA in Athens when Igloo was in Singapore. So it wasn't so bad, but I was somehow sad to miss it. And actually, I enjoyed very much the Igloo digital conference this year, just missing, of course, the social aspects of it that we normally enjoy as well. But it was great, and let's hope that indeed in 2021 we can come together again. So time is moving really quickly. I think we just have time for maybe short answers from each of our panelists on the final point that I wanted to discuss. So obviously, we are all looking forward to a post-vaccine, post-pandemic, COVID-19 free, or at least controlled world. Maybe Fiona, you could tell us, first of all, how do you envisage your library and your library services evolving just between now and the end of next year? Thank you.
What we've focused on very much is making sure that we've been able to provide as much as possible. It has meant we did it differently, and I conduct innovative thought and strive to do the very best possible and embed all of the good things that we've identified in ourselves, in our users, and our institution going forward. COVID has been absolutely awful. It's almost taken off our own limitations, the shackles we have put on ourselves as a profession, as a service. So let's not tie ourselves back down. Let's carry on brave and excited about what the world is going to be.
Fiona, that's a great answer, and I think it sums you up well, in fact, as well. So, you know, if anybody asks me to describe you, brave and excited would be probably two of the words that I would use. And I think you're right. I think, you know, it's been a horrible situation, but there are many positives that we can take from it. And I had the pleasure of speaking with somebody from the University of Oxford recently, and he was telling me that things that would have taken years were done in weeks. So that was a really great piece of information as well. So maybe now to Robin, the same question. What do you see, Robin, as evolving between now and the end of next year in terms of your library services?
For us, we were in a little bit of a different situation. Pre-pandemic, the HCT library was already working towards 100% e-resource collection, with a goal of no longer supporting print collections by December 2021. So our last physical title was purchased in 2017, with the last two items arriving November 13, 2017. We had also identified our previous system was not able to handle the sheer volume of this e-content, and we had previously been working with two different systems. So we knew that we needed an upgrade, and the upgrade, we wanted to be able to focus on how to provide better mobile access to information, but also how our users want to discover that information. So that will be one of our key focuses, on trying to explore how our users want to discover that information. So for us moving forward, as I mentioned earlier, the key will be the agility and being able to be agile and seeing innovation everywhere we look, and that it's dynamic and that it doesn't necessarily rest with one department. So Fiona mentioned earlier about being visible to everyone, and not only being visible, but saying, hey, we're here, we can help you with X, Y, or Z. So I think that's really, really important going forward. And our hope is that in purchasing Alma and Primo VE, that their interoperability will help us foster this type of innovation and becoming the center of the institution again, and where we should be.
Thank you very much for that answer as well, Robin. You know, if I'm honest, I still wake up some nights thinking about you getting rid of all of those books from your libraries, but I try to console myself and get back to sleep. But it's a very brave move, but perhaps it's a move that we'll see a little bit more often in this new world that everyone keeps talking about. So thank you very much for that.
If I just may add, sorry, Ellen, because we're an applied institute, this is why the need for us to have current data for our students, and it's not a historic, there's not a lot of historic research going on, so it kind of helped us with our decision to move forward with 100% e-collection, and also what it takes to get the books here as well. It's a long process, so 3 to 6 months to get a book on the shelf is a long wait for our end users.
Yeah, thank you, Robin. And Shameem, you know, we talked the other day in our practice session, and you were telling us then that you're in a good, or you were at least then in a good situation in Singapore in terms of COVID. So let's hope that that continues. Perhaps you could say a few words about what you think will happen between now and the end of next year.
Thank you, Alan. Yeah, fingers crossed. And it has been a good 2 weeks in Singapore, so we've had no local transmission. So we just hope that that continues, and we are able to get back, and the rest of the world as well, to as close to a normal as quickly as possible. That's the hope for all of us. In terms of what we are looking forward to, and Fiona and Robin both alluded to this as well. And you know, the digital transformation is not something new. It had already started way before, but this provided the additional impetus and kind of removed the shackles where, you know, people didn't have the safety net of saying, okay, let's wait for some more time before we do this. They didn't have a choice. So it was much more easier in terms of getting the buy-in to do a lot of things. And again, going back to what Robin was talking about, also, you know, users being the focus. And this is where, you know, what we are looking at is trying to see how the services, the library services, actually fit into the user's workflow and not the other way around. It's really no longer we will build the services and the users will come to us. No, it doesn't work that way anymore. It's really about how do you seamlessly integrate your services into the user's workflow so that they are able to achieve what they are meant to do. And we also look at this opportunity as something that, you know, it's given us a platform in this, we can call it that, for actually upskilling our own competencies as well. And this is so in a way, if I would look at it, we would normally look at our physical desk for providing those information services. That's kind of like our protective blanket. You don't have it anymore. So staff had to get comfortable with handling queries on the virtual chat, being able to field multiple queries, being able to be professional about it. So it provides a lot of opportunities for actually upskilling staff competencies as well. So yeah, it's a very interesting year that we're looking forward to.
Great. Thank you very much, Shameem. That was a really great answer as well. So before I move to the thank yous and to the wrap up, I hope that some of our participants are interested in finding out a little bit more. And I would like to invite my colleague Anas to introduce himself. Anas is our representative in the Middle East region. So Anas, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, sure. Thanks, Alan. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Well, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. First off, I would like to thank each one of you for giving up some of your time today and join us in this webinar. I also would like to thank our guest speaker, Robin, Shameem, and Fiona. A huge thanks to all of you. My name is Anas, and I run Proquest business in the Middle East and Africa. I work with a fantastic team here around me in Dubai. We operate in two hubs, basically, in the Middle East and Africa, one from Dubai, and the other one is from South Africa. Some of you know already, I have been with Proquest for the past 12 years, and I witnessed how Proquest was able to simplify and improve customer experience while continuing to focus on acquiring leading solutions and services from the market. Alan has shared a very nice slide about the time frame, and it's really exciting. I recall the times when we've acquired eBury, the ebook service, and Coots and Zero Solutions, and now Xlibris, where this brand is running library systems across many leading institutions in the world. And well, this will go on, and the journey will not stop here. I just wanted to leave a point that our vision here in the Middle East and Africa is to set the standards high in our market when it comes to customer experience. You have heard our colleagues from Europe and from HEC about, how we handle projects and how we execute them. And our main objective is just to make your job easier through our content as well as technology solutions. I'm extremely happy to be part of this event. And again, thank you so much for your time. And I learned a lot from Singapore, UK, and HEC. And, I hope that was useful time to spend with us. Thank you again, and over to you, Alan.
Thank you, Anas. So, as you know, I absolutely love to come to your region. I love to support you. I know I ask a million questions when we're traveling around, probably like your kids, and going to different places. So I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to do that again. So really, all that remains for me to say is the thank you. So I would indeed like to thank Shameem. I would like to thank Robin, and I would like to thank Fiona most sincerely for joining us this morning. It always takes preparation for these events and a lot of activities that go on in the background. So a huge thank you to our amazing marketing team who put everything together as well. And of course to you for joining. We know that some of you, Shameem, for example, is approaching the end of her day. Many of you will doubtless be approaching lunch, and some of us haven't even had breakfast yet, but we really, truly appreciate your time and the fact that you took some of your time today to join us. If you have questions following today's event, don't hesitate to send them to us. We will share also with you the recording, of course, just in case you want to hear anything again. But if there is anything else that we can do for you, then you know that we're always around and we're always more than happy to help you in any way that we can. So until we have the privilege of speaking again, let me just once again say thank you. Continue, please, everybody, to take care of each other and, of course, to take care of yourselves as well. Thank you very much and good day.